Bro, it's been a while that we've done a podcast, and over this time, like we've gone through a lot of new lessons, new experiences, and new observations, and I feel like we've been able to actually find a way to shift our internal state that actually helps us to perform better in whatever we want to do, no matter it can be any goal, mindset, fitness, success, anything. So what's been like the main foundational thing that you noticed recently that whenever you tapped into those information and those lessons, you're like, damn, this is the thing that really makes sense, that really unlocks everything?
So it's awareness. I've always said it's awareness in terms of any sort of change that you want to bring about your life, but it's the awareness of you catching yourself in the moment of it happening and what happening. Making the unconscious conscious. I caught myself in a situation in my life where I saw actively how my mind is recreating an event and emotionalizing it based off of prior experiences. And I started comparing that present moment event situation to the past. And I recognized that we're doing this all of the time in every area of our life. And unless we change that, you're going to run your life on autopilot with programs and beliefs that don't even serve you. And if they don't serve you, and if you want something better for yourself, and those two things aren't aligned, you're going to stay trapped. That's why you can put so much effort and keep doing the shit you think is going to help, but you just end up in the same spot, if not worse off. Because you're trapped in that cycle of repetition of just doing the same things over and over again, and you don't even realize it.
That's like very dangerous, because I've caught myself like being in that cycle numerous times, that it's like you're feeling a certain way and you start going back to the older cycles, the loops that you always play in your mind. You're like, it's like one small thought that you emotionalize leads to this one and this one and this one. It builds up, and suddenly it's like you literally start feeling pain in your heart because you start like feeling it so deep, and you start like magnifying it. But all it takes is just like going above it, like, bro, it's not that big. Today, literally, I was like trying to like pack up my stuff for the video. I lost my mic. I couldn't find my mic. I'm like, what's gonna be the plan? I'm like, you know what? Worst case scenario, I'm just gonna record with one mic. I just let go. And then I go in my car. I check, it's underneath the bottom of the thing. I'm like, that's all we have to do. Just be aware and like just move on. It's okay. Detach.
Yeah, detachment is key, but detachment in general, people struggle with it because most of the time you're in this internal environment, and when I say internal environment, I'm going to refer to that a lot, and that is your beliefs, which leads to thoughts and emotions, okay? And based off how automatic it is, sometimes the emotions come before the thoughts as well. But if you're in an internal environment that has negative emotions, so low vibration, low frequency emotions, right? Stress, fear, hate, anger, you resist those emotions because they feel unpleasant. You view them as, fuck, I feel like this again. I don't like how I feel. And when you resist the very emotions that are unpleasant, you're basically asking for more of those emotions. And that's trapping you. And that's why the cycle just repeats, right? So if you get stressed over, I can't find my mic. I get angry. I'm not going to find the mic. But as soon as you are able to, it is what it is. Just like, even if you just sit for the emotions for like 2 seconds, you're like, okay, this is what anger feels like. This is what stress feels like. Let me just, okay, you have a right to be angry. I get it. Just chill though. Like, it's not the end of the fucking world. You woke up, you're breathing, right? You're blessed in so many ways. Just relax. And as soon as you let it go, you allow yourself to go into a higher frequency state. And then that's when you find your mic.
Yes,
that's when you get the breakthrough. That's when the transformation happens.
But it's so hard at times to like really understand, like, you don't have to react. Just because someone cuts you off in the freeway, you don't have to yell. Just because someone honks at you doesn't mean you have to like do the same thing. You can literally just be not affected. You can just be like, oh, someone honked. Okay.
So the reason that they are affected is because they never process the other issues in their life.
It builds up.
It's like your cup. You're filling the cup, droplet, a little bit more stress, droplet, anger, droplet. Somebody says something, you don't set a boundary, droplet. And it finally gets to the top, somebody cuts you off, droplet, cup overflows, and you fucking flip. Why? Because you never processed all of the other things that arise. But what you don't recognize is when you suppress emotions, it doesn't disappear. You actually keep it. What are emotions? Emotion. It's energy in motion. Now, when you process an emotion, you allow that energy to flow through you. It eventually disappears.
Yeah.
You don't create energy, you don't destroy it. You can manipulate energy, and that's what we do in so many different ways. Now, when you suppress that emotion, this is where the funny thing happens is, that's when you're trying to keep this energy. You don't like it, right? Nobody likes negative emotions.
Exactly.
But when you resist it, you're actually keeping it. You're trapping it within your body. And that manifests in so many ways.
It's because all you do is just keep feeding your attention to the same thing.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, you get what you are. So if you keep putting your attention on the same thing, that's all you're gonna see, that's all you're gonna feel, and that's all you're gonna attract. So literally, there is no point of putting your attention on those things. You can process it, let it flow, and divert your attention to the things that you want.
Yeah, man. So what I've struggled with, and what a lot of people struggle with, is when you're caught in the loop, you don't recognize this. What do I mean? Like, if we look at a subconscious belief, right? Anything that occurs in your life, any situation, event, interaction with people, your mind processes this information and it filters this information. So you don't see things for what they actually are. You don't hear things for what they are. The stimulus that you take in, you filter through these beliefs, these programs in your mind. And what your mind does is it manipulates the information to make it work. It filters it through this filter. Some people have been so conditioned to be negative and to respond in negative ways. That's basically their only program in the back of their mind. So anything that occurs, that's what they process it through. Now, when you process it through this, hey, it doesn't matter what the input is, because the output of that program is stress, is negativity, is low vibes. And even if the best thing in your life happens, you can be in your dream country. The stimulus will be processed through the same program. You're going to get the same result, the negative energy. And it reaffirms it. It's a cycle that reaffirms itself. But as human beings, like, you have this power. It's called consciousness. You are consciousness. If you view it as you have the power to focus your attention on what you want, like, what is free will ultimately? Free will is that ability to intercept that process at any point.
Choosing.
You get to choose, but when you don't recognize that this is automatic, it's a cycle that is just repeating itself, your free will is almost inactive. You're not utilizing the free will. The free will is when you get that negative thought, I'm going to choose to reframe it into a thought that empowers me.
You know what's crazy?
Not limits me.
That's true. You know what's crazy? That a lot of the times people start attaching those negative states to their identity. They're like, you know what? I've always been negative. They say, oh, I always see things, this way and that way, or I am this way. But they don't understand that it's because constant reinforcement has put them there. So if they're not aware, you constantly think about those things that you always feel, or like you're always in that negative state, you're going to identify with that over time. That's going to be your beliefs, and then you're going to keep doing the same thing. But all it takes is just pulling yourself back. You're like, I can be something different. I can be a different version of myself. I didn't like talking in front of camera. I never made content in my life. I hated being in front of a camera. But here I am, like, posting thousands of videos, reaching up to millions of people, just because I made a different decision. Just because I decided to be aware and understand, okay, you know what? I can be a different version of myself. That's all you have to do, literally, self-awareness and choosing what you actually want rather than being controlled with your, negative beliefs. Yeah,
and you recognize that and you decided to make that change for yourself. But it's also like, why didn't you like being in front of a camera? Because your beliefs weren't aligned with that.
Exactly.
And if you try to force yourself as well, here's where the problem comes in. If you force yourself to be in front of a camera, but your beliefs are completely 180 degrees the opposite of that, you're going to have to use willpower to be in front of a camera. The thing is, willpower is like a muscle. Now you can train it and increase your willpower, right? But eventually it runs out. That's why it's harder to resist things that you shouldn't be doing later in the day than it is earlier in the morning. You can be disciplined in the morning and then be a mess in the afternoon or evening. Why? Because the more you use willpower, the more it gets fatigued.
It's finite.
When you sleep, it sort of resets. Now, people are like, well, you got to be disciplined or you got to be motivated. Each of those things are a trap. The example I always bring up is Kobe Bryant. He took over 500 shots a day. Do Do you think he was conscious, or do you think he was using willpower for each of those shots? That was a program that he had. It was a subconscious program every day. 1, 2, 3. It just keep going. That discipline was built into the program. You're disciplined in doing all of the things that are pushing you away from your goals, right? So it's not, I don't have discipline. No, the discipline is built into the wrong programs.
The discipline is you just not doing the work.
You need to automate it. How do you automate it? Well, you rewire your brain. You figure out where you're currently taking actions that aren't serving you. You get clear on where you want to go. And then you basically figure out, okay, there's this gap between these two things. Then the identity comes in. What's my current identity? What do I believe? Do I believe I can achieve my goal? Because if you can't, you got to go back to the identity, figure out what alternative identity is going to believe in that goal. And then you actively work on, first off, reframing the thoughts and the emotions with the new identity. And then you align the external, which is your habits, your behaviors, your actions, to also complement the internal, which is the beliefs, the thoughts, and emotions. And this two-part system, now it's complete. Now you can go about disciplining yourself to do these things. This is where you use willpower. You reframe the thought, because that leads to the action. You can get in front of a camera, but if internally you're telling yourself, oh, I can't do this, or oh, I'm not good enough, and you're feeling that stress, your performance in front of the camera is going to be so many times worse than if you feel, I'm helping so many people right now, I feel so good right now. The performance is going to be absolutely like on two ends of a spectrum. Why?
Not on day.
Yeah, it is. We see this in so many areas of our life. You take the action, it doesn't work. You have to ask yourself, what kind of state was I in? And you stop viewing the negative things, negative per se, the negative emotions, the negative thoughts as your enemy. When you get a negative thought, it's telling you, pay attention to your thoughts.
It's a sign.
Yeah, it's a sign. It's a notification. And if you view it as such, you're like, damn, I can fix this. It's a data point. Let's plug it into the system. Plug it into my feedback loop. Here's how I improve it. And then you repeat. And you repeat until you finally rewire your mind and begin reinforcing the positive. You have to recognize the reason that we can't be consistent with our goals or with the new habits we want to form and all these other things that we set out to do initially where we have motivation is because we're not giving it enough time and we're not aligned with it. So once that motivation, that initial willpower fades away, where is your mind going to default to, my friend?
The system, the internal system.
The internal subconscious system, the automation. 95% of our day is automatic. So why don't we use that 5% conscious time to try to reprogram the 95% to automate it so that we can be pushing ourselves towards our goals. Not 5% of the day I'm going to work towards my goals.
95%
95% I'm going to fucking walk backwards on the treadmill.
U-turn.
Yeah, like it doesn't work. So this realization, I've had the pieces, but I didn't take into consideration the internal. Once I did, everything's changed. Now I'm helping other people do this. I've set up the system that helps people do this because it's actively changing my life. And I can't help but want to share it with other people because
exactly.
When you find that light, when you find that goodness in yourself, you can't help but want to share it with others.
Of course.
That's the highest good. That's when you're like, this is what we're here to do in one way or another. One person might do it through biology, solving some sort of, crisis. One person might create a technology that, improves the quality of our lives. Other people might simply just be the person who cleans the buildings. Like, everybody has their role. And as long as you're in the positive states, that's what's important.
When you're servicing others, when you're being like a helpful person, number one, they benefit from that action. Also, you benefit because you're like, damn, like people are getting better, and it's a whole different conversation that we're all one, we all come from the same source. Like whenever you help somebody else, you're technically helping yourself because we're just growing as people. And I'm gonna go back to the topic of like motivation and discipline, and like I was talking about it like yesterday in my video. I feel like they're related because I feel like motivation is just inspired emotional energy, and we all have energy. You just have to frame it the right way. So if you're able to shift every single situation, every single aspect of our day in our favor, we naturally get that inspired emotional energy.
Yeah.
So we are technically motivated, and when we are like inspired, we just do things.
Yeah.
And that's where discipline comes from, because we are like, I want to become this person, I am this person. And then whenever you're like excited, you're in that positive state, things just happen. You just take action without friction. Like recently I've been sleeping like 5-6 hours. Again, it's like, it may not be recommended for some people, it's like 8-9 hours or something, but I operate perfectly fine. I wake up and I'm actually excited to do my morning routine. Like I've never felt like this, because I shifted my internal state. I shifted the way I see things. I'm like, when I do this, it just reprograms my mind to be the version of myself that I want to become. All those things, small habits, just internally program me. But it doesn't mean you can internally change with the physical stuff. It all starts here.
Yeah.
But because I shifted the way I see things, those habits just flow.
There you go. So you're actively building out those new programs that are actually helping you achieve your goals rather than destructive towards your goals.
Exactly.
So that's super important. When it comes to like motivation, I mean, scientific studies have shown like you actively get motivation, more of those motivated states, as you do the actual thing. So sometimes you might not feel like working out, not motivated. But if you start working out 5 minutes in, you're like, I like this, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling much better, much lighter, more positive emotions. Why? Because it's almost a byproduct of doing the actual thing. So to rely on motivation, look, I'm not saying you can't. Same with discipline, same with willpower. You can. But the question becomes, is it the most efficient way? And if we take the mindset of work smarter, not harder, is it the smartest way? Because it leads to burnout. I've relied on motivation, I've relied on discipline, and I've relied on willpower. It wasn't sustainable. You're gonna burn out, you're gonna crash. And when that happens, when you crash, when you burn out, you're gonna go back to the very programs that you were trying to change. Unless the new programs have been built and have been so strengthened, and the old programs have been so weakened that replacement happens, that the new programs get priority when you finally fall back and the subconscious does this thing. Like in this moment, I'm not telling my heart, hey, beat, 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 beat. No, it's doing it for me. The subconscious is doing that. You're not always aware, you're not always conscious. Majority of the human race isn't. It's autopilot. Wake up, brush your teeth, do this, do this, do this, go to work, come back, eat, watch TV, go to sleep. It's just systems. The world functions on systems. Now, the entire gist here is use your consciousness, use your willpower, use the discipline to create the systems that are going to serve you.
Perfectly said. If they're holding you back, literally, no matter how much you try physically, you try to be disciplined.
Yeah.
Force it, because like I feel like a lot of people force things. But whenever you change your system, your software, it flows. You don't have to go against it. You just go with it, because that's you.
Yes.
That's the new version of yourself. So you don't have to be like, you know what, like I'm not gonna eat this pizza. I'm not gonna eat this pizza. Don't look. You're like, this is the meal that I'm having. This is not me. Like I don't have to force eating it. This is just not me.
So I'll give you an example where, and this kind of encompasses all of it, right? So eventually you're going to fall back to the system that you have, which is the most strengthened, just primary fallback. Now, say you want to build this new system and you rely on motivation and all these other things. No. When I say discipline needs to be built into the system, the subconscious program, what does that mean? Well, discipline is to do something you should be doing, right, regardless of how you feel. That's discipline. It doesn't matter if I don't feel like working out. I'm going to work out. Now, if your subconscious program says, hey, every morning at this time, I'm going to work out, okay? And that's my routine. And I believe that internally I have the subconscious belief of I'm active, I'm fit, I'm healthy. I work out because it keeps me fit, it preserves my body is my temple, and I take care of this temple. And my internal, my external, they're both aligned. When I wake up, if I don't feel like working out, it doesn't matter. Unless I actively use my willpower to not work out. So now it's like you spin it around. It's like if you put some horrible drug on the table right now and say, hey, take it. I would have to force myself using willpower to take that drug. Why? Because it's not aligned with my systems, with my identity. So you just flip the switch. Now you wouldn't first off. Why would I? But do you see how you're trying to force yourself to do those things that help you achieve your goals? But it can be the same opposite end of the spectrum.
Just flipping it.
You're trying to reprogram it so that it becomes automatic because you're forcing yourself to do something that it's just, you can only do that so much.
That's like hitting the gym. Like I'm sure like a lot of people who are like consistently going to the gym, they struggle to not go to the gym. Like 1 or 2 days they don't go, they're like, it's hard, like I gotta go. Like they just like this internal burn, internal desire, they're like, oh, I have to go because it's their system.
Yeah.
That's their software that they're operating on right now. So I get what you're saying, that like anything we want to do, if you don't update the software first, you can do the craziest features on the hardware aspect, you can do the craziest methods, this tip, that tip, this content, this podcast. It's not gonna work out.
Yeah.
1 week, 2 weeks, let's just say. You're gonna fall back to your software, and that's where everything begins.
So let me give you an example. If you took an iPhone 3, iPhone 6, and you try to install the latest, most powerful apps, you're gonna get a pop-up that says, sorry, this application is not compatible with iOS version point blank. Why? That software is not compatible with the application. The application is the goal, the things that you want. The software is the subconscious beliefs. It doesn't fucking work. Unless you update the internal and the external, you won't get whatever it is that you want. There's no alignment, vibrationally, energetically. Hell, if you want to take a scientific perspective, scientifically, it will not work. You might get it, guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna sabotage the shit out of yourself. It's like, you know when you open an app and it crashes? It's kind of what's gonna happen. You're gonna crash. There's no alignment. It was temporary, unless you get that alignment.
That alignment also alters the way you perceive things and the way you receive things, because
yes,
I guarantee you there are so many opportunities right now in our lives that we don't even know they exist, but they're right here. But if you were, let's just say, enough or in a mental state that we were receptive to it, we would literally notice like, this is the next move. I'm gonna do this. But at times, because we just bring ourselves down, we just become obsessed with the things that don't really matter. We just forget to see the bigger picture. We forget to see that one opportunity that's right there. For example, for someone that can be, you know what, like online money is going crazy right now. You know, there's so many opportunities. You can go, you can make an agency, you can have like TikTok shop, you can do coaching. There's all these opportunities, but you're like, you know what, I'm not good enough for it. You know what, it's gonna take a lot of time. Maybe if you like really focus on it, it's not gonna take that time. If you shift your software, that beliefs, that identity that you have, that's not serving you right now, maybe you can be the next person.
Yeah. I'd say the most important thing is to pay attention to the emotional state that you're living with. Because if you don't, none of this will work. This all ties back to emotions. Emotional intelligence is so important. I'd say it may even be more important than just normal IQ. Because you have a lot of stupid people that are making a lot of money. And why? They probably just feel good. They don't have to be they're probably not self-conscious. They just feel good. And because they feel good, well, guess what? The law of attraction takes care of them. But if you're stressed, you're going to attract more activities, people, places, things, relationships, financial situations that keep you stressed. If you're happy, you're going to attract those exact things that are going to make you happy. So emotional state is most important. So if you say, well, I get all of this, what do I do? Pay attention to your thoughts every single day. Get a journal, split it into 2 tabs. And on one tab, throughout the day, when you get a thought that makes you feel a certain type of way, you write it down. I was thinking this, or I was doing this, and this is how I felt. Great. And on the other side, write down, well, this is what I want for myself. This is a goal that I have. Is that thought helping me? Or is it blocking me from getting what I want?
And just shift it, reframe it.
And as you do these, and as you start writing it down, guess what? You find patterns. So what I'm doing with my clients in terms of setting up their systems for them, their life systems, is we're doing these entries and then we're using AI to analyze it. We're like, okay, great. So, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, at around this time, every single day, you had this thought and you felt this way. Huh. You think that's a pattern? You think that's subconscious? Because I reckon it is. Great, now you just got the awareness. Okay, so now let's reframe it. I'm not good enough. No, I'm good enough because I just am. I'm good enough because the chance of me being born was 1 in 400 trillion. So my simple being here makes me good enough. And you reframe it. And as you begin reframing it, you're actively building those programs, the new programs that serve you. And then we can consider, okay, great. So how do we do this? Well, the subconscious mind doesn't know good or bad, right? An event is not good or bad to the subconscious. It's just emotionalized. The higher the emotions connected to an event, the more likely and stronger it's gonna be recorded. That's what trauma is.
Yeah, imprinted on your mind. Yeah.
So what is trauma? It's just very emotionalized events, intense emotions. Okay, so if that trauma likely occurred when you were a child, your mind was in more of a plastic state, neuroplasticity, which is the formation of new neurons connecting together, right? So what can we do? Let's say you're 40 years old. Your brain is less plastic than my brain. My brain is less plastic than a 7-year-old's brain. So what can we do to make our brain put it in a more plastic state? What can we do to make sure that the nervous system feels more at peace? And this is where our biohacking comes in. And we're modifying it, of course, with research, taking a scientific approach where we're using research and information to make sure that we're not just doing shit that's going to have consequences that we don't want. But, these are things that you can also consider. There's so many things that you can do. But it comes down to one thing. It's like we're just changing the way how we feel. I would wake up in the past, in the morning, and the thoughts that would race in, I wasn't aware of it. I didn't care. But that would set me up for failure that day.
It would just constantly run in the background. You were like, why am I feeling like this?
Yeah.
Why is this happening? Why did I do this? Why did I say this? Why did I eat this?
And then you do the things that you're trying to do, and it doesn't work out the way you want it to because of the way that you felt.
But one thing you said is that it all comes down to 1, being aware of it, and 2, documenting it, tracking it. So if you have like all these notebooks, all these journals that you see, like, wait, last year this time I was feeling like this. It's been 1 year that I've been doing new things, doing these new methods, doing these new approaches, but nothing has changed. Yeah. What's wrong?
Why?
I've read 50 books, I've watched 100 videos, I've done all these tests, I've done all these like crazy new habits. Nothing changed. Everything is the same. What's the problem? Why is not my software not updating? What's going on? And it all comes down to just tracking and journaling, and as you said, reframing those thoughts to your favor. And I feel like most of us struggle because a lot of people, they're not aware of it. We don't have the people in our circles. Yeah. We don't have the people around us to keep us accountable and to remind us, be aware. Remind yourself that you're capable. Shift your thoughts. Like me and you, like we've been talking like this past couple of months, we've been catching each other like whenever we shift to like the negative state, like, bro, you're like, what are you doing? Like you're in like a bad rut right now. Like,
okay, snap out of it.
Wake up. But if as a collectively we had those people around us, we would just not struggle because everyone would keep each other accountable and we would grow as a community and as just individually, because we're always there for each other and we can keep each other accountable. I feel like those small moments that can basically help you to get to the big breakout, sometimes we just keep going back to the older programming. But whenever we have like a circle of people that already passed that stage, they already know how it feels, they know the obstacles, they can help you, they can guide you. And that's why I feel like, let's just say someone wants to go to the gym, it's always good to be around people who are like already mastered that craft. They've been passing all those levels, they can help you out. Same thing with this mindset stuff, because a lot of people, they don't even recognize they're in those patterns. But if someone can tell them, did you notice like you did this because you were feeling like this? When people around you tell you certain things that are on the same wavelength, that want the best for you, not put you down, not hold you back, then you can become a better version of yourself. And that's why like we need to have a community of like-minded people to always be there for each other and push each other to be better. Because you said like environment is everything.
Yeah, no, definitely. Environment is an aspect that's reinforced those programs your entire life. So if you've been around people who are negative your entire life, and you're also negative yourself, they're reinforcing that negativity. Your mind is taking that stimulus, saying, great, confirmation received, this is something that's familiar to us, then just seek more of it. Thank you. And when you switch your environment, a lot changes because your mind's like, whoa, like this is new, this is unfamiliar. Like I've been around affluent groups, and when that happened, like imposter syndrome, as we call it, kicked in. Why? The internal identity wasn't aligned with it. The programs weren't used to that. They're used to negativity. So it's like, what are you doing here? Well, that I could take that as, I don't belong here, let me go back and reaffirm the very things I don't want. Or I can tell myself, okay, great, this is a learning opportunity. I got misalignment, so let's fix this. Now, as you're building these new habits, these new routines, these new beliefs, you need as many reinforcement anchors as possible. As many things that help you say, okay, this is me, this is who I am now. And environment and community is a big one. Because if you have friends, right, and your friends don't call you out on your bullshit, I don't know if they're friends. Maybe they're friends, but I don't know if they're good friends. Like, I want friends who call me out when they see me slacking. I want friends who call me out when they see some bullshit I pull off if I do anything. Like, I want friends who call me out. I want people in my environment who call me out in a loving manner, from a place of, I want the best for you, because that's what I do to people. If you come to me with problems and I give you a solution and you just don't do anything about it, I'm going to call you out. Like, do you really want to fix this, or you like that problem? Most people just are happy with where they are. They're content. Now, I don't really get along with those people. Why? Because I want more for myself. And ultimately, I've had to learn to hold people at the standard they hold themselves almost. But also, I see the potential in people. So it's like, if I see this potential in you, and you're, here now, this is where you could be, and there's this gap here, I want to help you push through that gap to reach that potential. But sometimes you want that for people and they don't want that for you. Or the opposite, right? Some people might see you where you are now. They don't see that future version of you. So what are they going to do? Your current environment is just going to reinforce the existing version of you. As you begin to change to improve yourself, they're going to say, hey, why are you changing? This isn't you. Exactly. Yet I'm killing that old version of myself. That isn't me. I'm this person. I'm working towards becoming this person. Either you support that, or I'll find someone else that will. Because believe me, you can find people that will. Believe 100%. Me, there's people that will be so committed to saying, dude, this guy is so driven. He sees that vision, he's working towards it. You'll find those people. That's what we're building. We're building these communities for that exact purpose. Both for ourselves and for others who've been stuck where we were.
That's facts. Bro, imagine if we had a community like that, the ones that we were trying to build earlier on, when we were like 14, 15, 16. Dude. Imagine 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of constant accountability, constant reassurance, constant, advice that there are ways to get around these things that we're struggling with.
Bro, my life would be so different because I see people younger than me now in the same spot I was, and I try to help them, but they're so stuck, so stubborn, that it's like, it hurts sometimes. It's like, bro, you have so much fucking potential. Stop wasting your life away, bro. The Netflix isn't going anywhere. The parties aren't going anywhere.
Always there.
It's always gonna be there. Why not make your life the fucking movie? Why not make yourself the exception? Why do you want to watch other people on TV, but you don't want to be that person on TV? Why do you want to see all those people achieving the things that you would wish to achieve, but not work towards achieving it? Because to me, it just doesn't make sense.
It comes to instant gratification. We talked about this in our previous video. this is I saw like a clip that I was like, like a lot of people, like I was like a huge sports guy, Brian. I had like a whole brand built on sports, posting every day. And I realized something is that a lot of people get dopamine and a sense of accomplishment from the accomplishment of others.
Yeah.
They get that dopamine, but it's, bro, you didn't do anything. Just because you're wearing a jersey and say, yeah, let's go, like we won. Did you? You were just looking at like, eating Doritos in front of a TV or something.
Yeah.
Did you really contribute to that? Like, and if they won, did you really get anything besides that feeling? Like, you can appreciate the art, the skill.
Yes,
but
100%.
Does it like really improve your life? Like, that's like a very false sense of accomplishment. Sure, you can enjoy, but there are ways that you can like actually elevate those sense of accomplishments by you doing it, by you becoming your own hero, by you becoming the version of yourself that is also shown on that like those scenes, those, let's just say, movies or those events, those shows, whatever you want to do. But instead of getting that sense of accomplishment from other people, you can just get it from yourself. You can get it from rebuilding yourself, recreating yourself by being around the right people. Instead of going out with like 5 or 6 dudes to like a bar, watch a football game. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging, but I'm saying if you desire to become a new version of yourself, you cannot do the same thing.
Exactly.
So you either have to shift your environment, or you can get stuck and just do the same thing. So if you decide to shift your environment, then you need to be around the right people.
Yes.
Those communities that are there to keep you accountable, to call the BS when you're, not being, consistent, if you're not showing up for yourself, if you're being negative towards yourself, and also people who are going to guide you. They've been there. They can tell you like, brother, like you can do this, make this small shift, change your perception, and you can come here. You can do this. That's all it takes.
Yeah, that's a big part of it as well. Like, for example, I love watching motorcycles and like cars, just racing in general. Now, that gives me dopamine, yes, right? But it's like if you're actively pursuing something yourself and you're doing that as pure like enjoyment, you're truly enjoying it. It's not a mask for a deeper purpose that you have that you're suppressing, right? You're not distracting yourself with it. Then yeah, you can watch sports. There's so many things you can do. Like if you enjoy it, that's what's most important, right? Enjoy it. But the key is don't use it as a mask. Don't use it as a distraction because your identity is misaligned with that mission, that goal that you have for yourself. Because that's what we do. I have this goal. I want to change the world, for example, in this certain way. Okay, great. You want to provide clean food and water for everyone in the world. That's misaligned with your identity. That gives you discomfort to think about the big goal. And so you distract yourself. You look at other people doing it. But you never really do anything yourself because you would rather just give yourself the perception of, oh, people are doing it, or, oh, let me just distract myself some more and suppress that intention, that desire that I have, just so I can, feel comfortable doing what I've always done. That isn't right, in my opinion. That doesn't settle right with me. But I mean, in terms of community, how much would it change your life? Like, if you had the community right now that's pushing you, empowering you, giving you the steps necessary to save you years of time, would that not be helpful to you?
Absolutely, bro. Why are we even going too far to a community? When did we meet? Like a couple months ago?
Yeah.
How much have we been able to learn from each other, bounce like information from each other? Just 2 people.
Wow.
Now imagine add a 0 in front of me, 20 people, 200 people, 2,000 people. You can do it in person, online. There is a bunch of platforms you can connect with one another. Like you can do private events by yourself. You don't have to necessarily wait for everybody. It can be a group of 5. Show up to a little office, start ideation, start working on certain content, business, anything. But this is the power of being around the right people. And sometimes you literally just have to show up. But that energy, they rub.
Yeah.
When somebody's the caliber of that, the version of that, basically they can achieve anything. They have that aura about them. They have that confidence about themselves. You pick it up.
Yes, you do.
You literally can just sit there and you can get that energy.
Takes you back to the sports in a way.
Exactly.
When you watch that person navigating it so effortlessly, like, ooh, you feel good too. Why? It's like it's an energetic transference of sorts.
Exactly.
But then the key becomes like use it, leverage it. There's so many opportunities. Like you can walk into rooms that your old self would doesn't even know exist. You know, like you don't know what you don't know. And there's a lot I don't know. And it's like as you go through this process, like, dude, you can introduce me to someone that completely changes my life. And then that person can introduce me to someone else. Like, you don't really get it. You're 2 to 3 people away from your dream life at any given time. You can introduce me to one person. That person introduces me to someone else. And that person introduces me to someone else. And that might be the person that's going to completely transform my life. But beyond that, I don't want to push responsibility or delegate responsibility. You and me, only we can transform our lives. Nobody else. If you don't put yourself in that community, no one's going to force you to join it. If you don't put yourself in the environments you should be in, nobody's going to do it for you. If you don't do the things that you should be doing, no one's going to do it for you. And quite honestly, nobody cares. After a certain point, people are just going to be like, I'm trying to help you, do your thing. If I see somebody that's trying to change, I'll help them. I'll push you. I'll want a lot for you. But if after some point I notice that you just don't really care, I'm like, do your thing, bro.
If you give up on yourself, like how do you expect other people to have?
Don't waste. I'm not wasting my time on you. My time is everyone's time is precious. People are not going to waste their time. They want to invest their time. Make their investment worthwhile. Like your existing environment, does it really helping you? Is it? You got to ask. You got to become aware of it. Like, okay, how is this person in my life reinforcing this old habit, this old behavior, this old way of thinking, this paradigm? You got to ask. If you don't,
you're going to keep facing the same
subconscious. It's just going to be automatic. And you won't recognize it. And if you don't recognize it, well, it's going to take some sort of miracle to change it.
Like sometimes, we were talking about it previously, that being around the wrong circles can, hold you back.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like being around nobody, like even if it means like, because let's just say if you're around the wrong circle, they can hold you back. But also if you're in your own mind and there's nobody to tell you anything,
yes,
it's even worse because you just get magnified even faster because you're in this mental loop playing the same scenes, feelings.
Yeah.
You keep reinforcing them, and then it just gets even worse because nobody's around you telling you like, bro, like, do this one thing, shift this. And like those small things can make a huge difference because I started, what's crazy? I started my fitness journey because I had a high school friend. He just told me like, you're spending all this time playing video games. Why don't you go to the gym? That's all he said. Once, just one conversation, one sentence. It changed everything. So like imagine if you meet one person and that person tells you one sentence, one statement, encourages you to do this one thing. That can trigger an infinite amount of things that he can do later on. Just but one sentence, being around that one right person.
Arin, but I'm an introvert. And because I'm an introvert, I'm not comfortable talking to other people. And, other people people don't like me. I'm really weird. And this is how some people think. So, well, I'm an introvert. So what do I do? That's a big question a lot of people say. Are you really an introvert? Or are you just drowning in insecurities that make you feel that way? Are you so afraid of what other people think about you that you say that you just can't get yourself to communicate with others with the fear that you can't sustain the ego mask that you've built for yourself? Because that's more likely. Same with extroverts. Extroverts have that ego mask too. But let me ask the question again. Are you really an introvert, or do you just lack the communication skills? Are you really an introvert, or do you just feel so comfortable in your bubble you don't want to do anything that makes you feel threatened? That bubble feel threatened.
Being questioned.
Yeah, you don't want to be questioned. Because if somebody asks you a question that pierces your worldview from being alone so long, then you're like, oh fuck, wait. And you just shattered my entire perception of life. What do I do now?
Most of the times, just being defensive, throwing things back at you, being offensive. And I feel like a lot of the times you keep reinforcing what you already feel, the paradigm that you already have. You just project it through you being defensive.
I've been through so many stages of worldviews. It's very interesting. So I used to think I'm an introvert. And I just was, I thought I'm an introvert. Simple as that. But as things evolved, I'm like, okay, I'm an extrovert now. So now I started doing that. And I'm like, but people are just, I don't like these people. Like, I think I'm an introvert, actually. But what it was is, like, regardless of what you say you are, you have to recognize, like, your internal energy is going to be reflected in the world. You're going to attract those sort of people. If you're constantly stressed or angry, you're going to attract more people like that. More situations that make you, like, reinforce that. So it's like, if I'm communicating, I'm an extrovert now, and I'm attracting the wrong people, well, I got to question what I'm feeling inside. Do I have this alignment? Because once I got that alignment, now the quality of people around me gets so much better. I'm like, okay, I enjoy being around these people. There was something between introvert and extrovert, which is the middle of both. I like both. Like, don't be afraid of being alone.
You don't have to box yourself to anything.
Yeah.
We're just energy. At the end of the day, we're just energy.
I'm flowing. I enjoy being alone as much as I enjoy being around other people. I need both, matter of fact. If I lack one, the other one starts to suffer. If I start secluding myself in an igloo, then I'm stuck. It sucks. I'll eventually fall into depression. We need people.
Bro, even the introverts, around the right people, they're extroverts. Yeah. So is it that you're introverts, or maybe you're just not on the right people? And that's where the power of a community comes in, because if you feel accepted, if you feel like that your ideas and the person you are right now, you don't have to be this crazy star, you don't have to be this insane businessman. The person you're right now, starting on level 0, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Everybody started there, and we're all blessed to live this life. And there is nothing wrong to be on the step 0. Yeah. But if you're around the right people, they can guide you to go level 1, level 2, level 3. After months, you may be on level 50, no matter in what industry you're trying to work at, no matter what aspect of your life you're trying to improve. Like, when the people are around you, like, encouraging you, you're just gonna be like, wow, like, it wasn't really that complicated. Yeah. It just takes a couple people around you to keep you accountable, give you the right guidance. The people who already passed that stage, not people that are not even doing what you want to do, that are not basically living the way you want to, or they're not embodying that mindset that you want to have. Like, if people are negative, if people are like, even if they are successful, they make crazy money. If they're negative, they put other people down, they're disrespectful, they're not loving, they're not empowering. Why do you want to be around that person? Yeah. Why would you take advice from that person in that aspect? Like, if you don't admire something from somebody, it's not really, there is nothing really to ask from them. Like, there is no benefit. Yeah. Yeah, and it's also like, if somebody's on level 500 and you're on level 1, it's difficult to relate to it. You can desire to be at level 500, but can that level 500 put themselves in the level 1 shoe and really say, okay. Very difficult. You're not going to get to level 500 instantly. You need to take steps, action steps. Now, you can do it at accelerated rate. When you get that alignment with internal, external systems, the speed of that becomes completely different. Just completely different trajectory. The momentum just goes fast. Yeah, you accelerate it. There's ways to do so. But, I mean, in terms of, like, helping others, it's like, you only got to be 2 to 3 steps ahead. If I made this jump here and it saved me some time, hey, you're about to make that jump. Let me tell you, it can help you. Or you can fall into the hole and be like, well, like, learn from other people's lessons. I think that's the biggest one. If we can learn from other people's lessons and not have to make that same mistake ourselves, great. That's great. But some people just have to make the mistake. Some people have to make the same mistake a few times before we finally get it. But it's also like, become aware, because if you keep making the same mistake, you're probably stuck in the same loop. So you're just repeating the same thing. Then finally it becomes so painful, you're like, I need to make this change. Yeah, man. I mean,
What are you doing in terms of building a community? And if somebody wants to improve the quality of their life, like how can you help them?
Bro, you know, I've had enough of like being able to, not being able to have the right circle around me, not having the people that, you know, we encourage each other, we support each other, we give each other outside the box ideas and perspectives, because different people are basically different versions of yourself. They just receive things differently. They just receive information differently, perceive things differently. So if you're able to pick up and learn something from people who are on the same mission, they have that positive mindset, people who are empowering. If you can just pick up small things here and there, lessons that they can give you, you can incorporate it in your own life, in your own systems, that can make a huge shift. And that's why I'm taking initiative to make a community. And I feel like my aim is to bring that to the Armenian community, because I feel like I don't really see a lot of us really cooperating. I don't really see a lot of us, you know, elevating each other and be there to empower each other, you know, like those are the little things that really take a culture to the next level. They really make it powerful. People stick to each other and they really go global. You don't have to hold each other back. You don't have to say negative things to each other. You don't have to, you know, belittle each other because we're different, because we are naturally different. Everyone is different. But at the core level, we are energy, and we are all come from the same source. And you can define that source to anything. You can call it the universe, God, infinite intelligence, anything. But we all come from that source. So fundamentally, we are not different. We're just expressed differently. And if we can just have like a place that people can just connect with one another and just bounce ideas and, you know, knowledge and information and wisdom in those places or in the communities, we can grow so much. And that's why I just want to have like a community like this. I'm building this community for that.
Amazing.
For us specifically Armenians, because I personally, even like recently, I'm like really becoming aware of a lot of things that I'm learning, and I feel like I'm not trying to attach my ego to anything, but I know a lot of people need help. I need help too. I need to learn a lot of things from them. And that's why I want to create this place, create this environment that we can just bounce ideas and we can be there for each other, and you know, we can bring guests. There's so many ideas we can do. We can host events, and we already hosted an event like in December. It was like a running event. We didn't have like a crazy planning and stuff, but we did something together, and it worked. It doesn't have to be something crazy. It can be 10 people, 50 people. But when you build that momentum, in a matter of 5-10 years, imagine the amount of lives that you can change. And it's selfish of you if you don't take that action.
Definitely.
And I know you're on that. You're creating a community of people that they want to have that mindset. But for entrepreneurs, you want to really like help people with business in that aspect. So what's your plans with that?
Yeah, man. So it comes down to the systems thinking. It's a very interesting approach that I'm applying to my own life. What I did is, after learning it, is I systematized it. And so what I help people do, business owners and entrepreneurs specifically, is we get clear on where you're stuck, where you want to go. And we sort of create this alter ego for you. And then we systematize the entire process using tech and AI. And we help you gain awareness by using AI tools. And within the community itself, with Blackline that I'm building out, it's going to be the community, right? Where you're around people who are actively improving themselves. And you're going to be getting access to those AI tools, to the lessons, the teachings that can help you make those changes within your life. And the support, the environment that's going to help reinforce all of that, to keep you going, to make you, literally make you more aware. And with that is, once you get to a certain point, you're like, well, okay, I want to improve my finances. Great. We have an arm. We've partnered with a major company that is literally helping provide financial education for our people, and also helping them build literally generational wealth. Like, if you stop working today, what's going to happen? If you are no longer working, will money flow into your account? For most people, the answer is no. What if you were to get 10,000, 20,000 every single month if something was to happen to you? You'd be protected. Your family would be protected. So we're providing that education to people, but also the most important thing is we're first getting them to believe they can have that. And then they're going to have that. We're going to give it to them, the system necessary. If somebody wants to start a business, we're going to provide the system, a proven framework that works, that they can incorporate and begin making money. So it's this holistic approach essentially. And that's kind of what I'm building out with Blackline. But as me and you are really aligned with our missions and purpose. Next month, on March, we are having an event. So I want you to also come as a guest speaker. So
Absolutely.
if you want to open that as well, we can invite everybody who's watching this video and we can run that up here.
That's the plan. Yeah, I know, that's the
it.
power of a community. Like whenever we have people who are aligned on the same mission, and right now it's only us two. Imagine adding 50, 100 people, that we just all that energy and be directed towards like a certain direction.
Yeah.
Imagine the power of that. So there is definitely a purpose in what we are doing. There is definitely a reason and a huge benefits and upside that what we are doing, because I know when things get rolling, bro, it's gonna be game over. So I'm excited.
Game is starting. I always say game over. I'm like, wait, no, the game is just started.
Game over of being stuck.
Yeah.
That part is over, but the potential, we're just beginning.
There you go, man.
That's the power of having a community, and it's only upside from here, So
yes, it is.
We just keep growing. We're gonna keep learning. We're gonna share our experiences. We're gonna develop ourselves so we can, present ourselves to different people, to more people, so we can, empower them. And also, when other people are empowered, they can empower other people, and it's like snowball effect. And then suddenly, as I said, 5-10 years, there's a huge wave of people that are doing big things.
And I think the key is to remember, it all starts with us. It all starts with you. It starts with you making the change for yourself, which leads to everything else. By taking responsibility and saying, I am the creator of my life, and my destiny will be shaped by the actions that I take today. And then asking yourself, what do I want that to be? Getting clear on it, and believing, I promise you, that it can be, it will be, if you just do the transformational approach that you have to take.
So where do people sign up for your event?
In terms of the event, they can click the link on my Instagram bio, Yero Aim, and they can basically RSVP for that event.
Perfect. Okay, then we're gonna send people there. And for me, right now, I'm still working on like the initial parts of my community, so I have nothing to send people to. But I do have a lot of experience, helping people growing their brands, social media, gaining a lot of attention. So I can definitely help people with that. And if you want to grow your social media brand, if you want to grow your personal brand, send me a DM on Instagram. We can connect and we can go from there. I appreciate you for watching. My boy Yero, as always.
Arin, thank you for
a lot of
having
great
me, brother.
information, of course.